Hello, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. When the recession occurred, many Floridians found themselves without jobs and no means of income. And anyone that owns property in the state of Florida already knows all too well the outrageous level of foreclosure and diminished property values. The recession has reached some part of every Floridian's life without exception, whether it be personally or through a friend or family member. During hard times, some shows the risk of growing and selling cannabis for profit in the black market. In response, the Florida legislature enacted the Marijuana Grow House Eradication Act in 2008, which drastically increased penalties for the growing and cultivation of cannabis. The new law would lower the drug trafficking threshold from 300 plants to a mere 26 plants. The law goes above and beyond the federal trafficking threshold of 100 plants. There is a major flaw in this legislation. It does not require law enforcement to obtain evidence that the grower profited from growing cannabis as it was intended. In the press release, Florida State's Attorney, Bill McCollum, the law was referred to as a landmark bill targeting marijuana grow houses that tackles for-profit growers. Under the current law, the measly possession of 26 plants is sufficient evidence to suggest drug trafficking. This flaw in this law allows a person growing for personal or medicinal use to be treated in the same manner as a drug trafficker that profits from his or her operation. An example of this error resulted in a disabled man named Jeffrey Kennedy to be charged as a drug trafficker despite the fact that he grew cannabis to alleviate the pain associated with a condition known as neuropathy. This is his story and his plight to remain a free man after being charged as a drug trafficker.
Jeffrey William Kennedy, 52 years old, born in 19 of 58. Grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota. Born and raised on the east side there. The lower development homes, I guess, was called Roosevelt Projects. Where we had, was pretty much where we grew up, our childhood was. I got my older brother Richard, my younger brother Timmy, and my baby sister Lisa. I come from a typical broken home family. Parents divorced when I was real young. Wasn't much supervision in the household because mom had to work, you know. So we were pretty much left on our own too, and that's how we were raised. We pretty much raised ourselves. I always wanted to live by the ocean. From watching TV shows, you know, the Rockford Files, he had a little trailer on the ocean there, and I always loved the ocean. I was always drawn to it, so I said someday I'm going to have me a house on the ocean. Well, I don't have one on the ocean, but I could pick up a rock and probably hit it from here if I needed to. So never in my life did I think I would be, when I started growing this, to try to see if I could live a better quality of life, there's nowhere in the world that I thought that I would be later down the line held for trafficking in marijuana. Never in my life did I dream of that.
We both took a look at the Attorney General Bill McCollum news release, and in it states from Attorney McCollum, "As Florida's Attorney General, it's my priority to protecting our children and our communities from the devastation of illegal drugs. This legislation targets those who grow marijuana for profit." Ever make it? How much profit did you make?
Me growing marijuana, I didn't make one nickel growing marijuana. Well, I'm an example of their flaws in their law. I wasn't growing for profit. I was growing for medication. They claimed 26 plants. What the hell kind of money am I going to make on 26 plants? We're currently behind on our mortgage. My insurance is due in July. That's $2,300. This law is not only improperly applied, it's an unjust law to begin with. 25 plants is trafficking. That's absurd.
Did anybody ever investigate your financials?
No. No.
Taking
no.
everything out that they can possibly take. anything that we've saved is by,
Yeah. Yeah, our financials, they got it all. For the attorneys and I'm going to tell you, my mother doesn't know I was arrested. My mother's too old right now, and to give that kind of news to her is just not something I'm prepared to do. It's sad because if I was to tell her, she'd be worried about me going to prison, and I don't want. She is too old to have to worry about that at her age. About having her son go to prison for trying to live a better quality of life. My siblings are all 100% behind me. He started laughing. Trafficking, he says, because he's been to my home here. He's seen what I had, and he started laughing. He says, that's absurd. He thought it was crazy. He just, anything I can do for you, let us know. We're there for you. I think it should be the patient's choice on what he should be able to put in his body that's going to take away his pains, his aches, and help him get along in life. I think the intake of these opiates are ruining my health, and not only my health, but my lifeline.
And were you able to take less of the opiates while you were using medical marijuana?
As I said before, when I have a quality marijuana, I'm able to use at least 70% less of the opiates. If I had a quality marijuana every day, I would be able to cut the opiates out of my life completely.
What's the monthly cost of the pain medication that you take?
That I am currently on, that is covered by the government, runs about $1,000 a month, a little over $1,000 a month.
How much did it cost you to grow medicinal marijuana?
Didn't cost me anything.
Do you think by you growing medical marijuana, you alleviated some of the burden off society paying for pain management?
I can tell you this, I'm able to cut the morphine intake by 70% or better with a quality marijuana.
How much do you think that the country would be saving if people could grow their own medicine?
Again, we would be saving billions of dollars. Billions and billions of dollars. And that money could go to, what are they crying for the most, and what do they need the most in this state? They need education down here. These public schools down here are a joke. And that money could go towards education and teaching our children. I think if a man is living in his home and he's not harming anybody, and he wants to try to grow a medication that's going to help him live a better life, I don't think they should be judging him. I don't think they should be prosecuting him. My plea to politicians is, you guys got to change these laws. You guys got to catch up with science and today's technology. Medical marijuana is something that's been used for thousands and thousands of years. Science technology has proven it shrinks tumors with people with cancer. It relieves pain, it relieves tension, it relieves stress. It relieves muscle spasms. The cures can go on and on with this drug. The reason why I feel it's not legal is because these drug companies cannot put a patent on this plant. Therefore, they're going to lose not millions of dollars, but billions of dollars with a capital B. These drug companies pay these politicians to keep this drug from being legal. And it's time for it to come to an end, and it's time to let the patient choose how they should be treated. You know, if the judge told me, Mr. Kennedy, if you would like to move to a marijuana-friendly state, we're going to drop the charges, my shit would be packed and I'd be in that state within 30 days. California, Colorado, I'd go to any of them. Any of them where it's legal. That's warm. It's got to be a warm climate. The cold temperatures don't agree with me. The pain really increases 100% more when the cold weather affects me. the more I'm on my feet, the more the pain is going to increase. The other day I went to an event in downtown Jerkfest to try to collect some signatures. I had to walk like 6 blocks there and then 6 blocks back to my car. The pain I was in that night and all the next day was incredible. Even with the morphine, the pain is out of control. It's like I'm one step away from going to the hospital is how bad the pain gets.
According to the press, prosecutors began investigating Rush Limbaugh in 2003 after the National Enquirer reported his housekeeper's allegations that he had abused Oxycontin and other painkillers. Law enforcement accused Limbaugh of doctor shopping or illegally deceiving multiple doctors to receive overlapping prescriptions after learning that he received approximately 2,000 painkillers prescribed by 4 doctors in 6 months at a pharmacy near his Palm Beach mansion. As a condition of his plea agreement, Limbaugh paid $30,000 to the state of Florida for investigative costs and agreed to continue treatment of the doctor that had treated him for the past 2.5 years. The single charge of doctor shopping would be dismissed in 18 months if Limbaugh completed the terms of the plea agreement. If the state of Florida deems a person in possession of 26 plants a drug trafficker, then one could speculate that possessing 2,000 pills of Oxycontin could suggest trafficking as well. In another incident that occurred on October 26, 2006, Limbaugh was charged with burglary, public intoxication, and violation of probation when he entered into a Piggly Wiggly and began inhaling nitrous oxide from numerous cans of whipped cream, where it is used as a propellant. The owner offered not to file charges if Limbaugh left quietly, but it is reported that Limbaugh became increasingly hostile and began spraying onlookers with whipped cream while screaming obscenity. A statement was later released by the public relations firm Hill & Knowlton on Limbaugh's behalf. It is stated that Mr. Limbaugh will be having no comment on this matter. He has entered a rehabilitation program to end his dependence on whipped cream can propellant and hopes to return to work in a few days. Unfortunately, they are unable to rehabilitate his personality.
Rush pretty much, because he has money, can break the laws of the state of Florida. And because I'm a poor man and I don't have $30,000 to give the state, they're going to prosecute me to the fullest. From what I understand is he would end up with, for doctor shopping, 18 months probation, something like that. He wouldn't get his driver's license taken, I know that. And all he'd have to do is just keep giving somebody some money every month. I'm scared. I'm not scared so much for me. I'm scared for my wife. Because if I go to prison, I'm worried what's going to happen to my wife. Just to anybody that's hearing my story, I ask for you to actually help me. Help us, help me and my wife. If I am convicted for something that I just don't feel should even be a crime, I don't know what more I can say except I need your help. Now I know everybody's struggling, but if you could help donate to my defensive fund to help pay for the attorney and the expert witnesses, I would appreciate your generosity and your compassion. And that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks for listening.
But I'll tell you, from the first time that I got that phone call, and I was at work, and I've always worried about him having these stupid little plants out here because it is what it is, but I also realize that this makes him feel better. And if you live with somebody that has pain like he has, and I've seen him cry, how often do you see a man cry? I mean, I'm telling you what, it's not a fun way to live.